Hello and welcome to episode 150, an episode with arbitrary numerical significance of First Geek 411. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin, and I forgot to mute the other screen. And with me, as always, is my best man, Chris Nicolay. Chris, how you doing today?
Hello. I am well.
You look a little chilly today in your short sleeves with a hood.
It's like my head's cold, but my arms aren't, so makes sense. It also is a little chilly here. It is December.
Yeah.
Almost.
It's chilly here for Dallas. So, you know.
Yeah.
Sure
As-
it is.
As
Real
literally
matter.
everyone
Anyway.
else laughs.
Chilly.
Chilly.
Yes. And
I could
joining
go
us
swimming there.
and joining us and laughing at my
Well, y'all
southern
good.
temperature-ness, our Colorado correspondent, Emma. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. No complaints. I am tired, but happy.
And then joining us with her 50,000 word NaNoWriMo complete, Shanine, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, you still technically have another, 5 hours.
Technically. Yes.
You-
What
Would
do you
like
want
to
from me,
add
Chris?
Any words? To your,
Everything. I want another 10,000 words by the end of the day.
Not happening.
no.
Before we go crazy with our unrealistic writing expectations for the next 3 hours or 5 hours, whatever, this week we are talking about Super Nintendo World coming. We're talking about celebrity boxing matches. We're talking about Saga Frontier, and then a certain Pokemon is allowed to have Pokemon cards again. And then we will end this episode with our top 3 bards. Before we get into that, as always, you can find us on our social media. We are OneGeek411 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And then, of course, you can join our Discord server. Our email is 1stgeek411@gmail.com, and you can check out our show notes on our website, onegeek411.com. You can watch live on Twitch each Monday night, 6:45 Mountain Time, and be part of that post-show chat. And then you can find the videos over on our YouTube. And if you're a podcast listener, you can rate and subscribe wherever it is that you listen. That is super helpful to us, and we would appreciate it. With that, let's get into what we have been up to. Shanine, since I already gave away one of your things, why don't you start us off?
Okay. Well, yes, I completed NaNoWriMo today. I wrote in total 50,066 words in 30 days, and I'm super proud of myself, and I cried. So that was exciting.
I really appreciated your stats that you posted. Like, if you're best writing time, like which days you wrote the most, which days you wrote. I thought that was super interesting that you had all that.
Yeah, it's fun to see the stats on Nano. It started high and went very down low towards the end, but
Isn't that generally how writing works?
Yeah.
I feel like yes.
It's like you start writing, okay, and okay, the first part is, but now you actually have to continue it. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I actually have to complete this idea. Or try to
Mhm.
fill
Yes.
in missing spots to make this a more complete idea.
Yeah. But I still did hit my par for every day, even if for some reason the website isn't acknowledging it and giving me the badge for it, which I'm totally not bitter about or anything.
Not bitter at all.
Do you need us to send a strongly worded email?
Yes.
Because we will. On it.
I have an off-air story time for us about a strongly worded email I had to send.
Oh boy.
Okay.
I'm ready.
And other than Nano, I finally got to play Among Us for the first time. I've been wanting to play it for so long, and I can just never get a group together. But I finally got to play. And my first game, I ended up being the imposter with
Oh.
my husband. So that was exciting. We lost, but it just like didn't work out great. But I had a pretty sick kill, so that worked out.
Such a fun game.
Did you get away with the kill? Is that why it was the sixth kill, or
I did
is
get
that when
away
you
with
okay,
it.
Good.
Yeah.
We were at the monitors and just kind of stood there for a while, and I was like psyching myself up and then just killed him and ran away.
Did you sing "Don't Be Suspicious" the whole time?
Don't be suspicious.
No. And then my RPG group, our regular GM has classes right now, so he could not GM for us. So we just did a one-shot on Fantasy Grounds. So that was pretty fun. I got to use a character that I really love that I didn't get to finish a campaign with. So
That's always unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
gonna be good.
I've been working on a campaign for us for Twitch. So we'll see. We'll see.
Ooh.
It's a ways away still, but
That's
hopefully
okay.
in the new
I
year.
can't wait to
In the
play
new year.
Chaotic Good. because
It'll
I
give me
just always
something
play
to look
Chaotic Good.
forward to. I've never actually played a full campaign before. And I have a character just waiting to be used.
I've been drawing maps.
Ooh, Chris, I'm impressed.
Oh yeah.
So excited.
I have a dragonborn druid or whatever it is, some weird combination that I was just like, this looks fun.
But yeah, so we'll
Let me
see.
use it.
I've got to learn some things about Roll20 and some things since we're gonna obviously it's gonna be digital.
We do it in
But-
person or nothing.
Once a month, we all just gather.
We all just fly somewhere.
Converge on one place.
Emma, what all have you been up to?
Yeah, this week, most of it has been prep for grad school, but my Christmas cactus bloomed, which is pretty exciting, in my humble opinion, because I worked very hard to keep it alive, and it is very much alive. And then I started playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I almost said Animal Crossing, which would have been a very different game. And
No, they're pretty much the same game.
pretty much the same game. Yeah. And I'm really enjoying it so far. It's not entirely what I expected, but I'm still enjoying it very much. But yeah. And then we had Thanksgiving here in America, and that was pretty nice too. My sister came to visit, and yeah. That's about it.
Chris, what about you?
So I have continued watching Star Trek Voyager. I'm just starting season 7, which is the final season. I don't know. This is turning to be one of my favorite Star Treks. Or at least has some of my favorite episodes in the Star Trek franchise so far. For reasons, but we can talk about this some other time. What I really want to talk about, so this week's episode of Haikyuu was phenomenal. For those that don't know, Haikyuu is a sports anime about a high school boys volleyball team. Men's volleyball team. I don't know how they would phrase that. And it's so good. Finally, we the main character, Hinata, he's short. And so it's about, but he's like also like one of the main like scorers on their team, despite being short. And I can't recommend Haikyuu enough. This is by far one of my favorite animes of all time. Yes, probably even above Shokugeki no Soma. And I'm a big fan of food anime, but this one, I just can't get enough of Haikyuu. I've watched all of the OVAs. I've been watching this since season 1, and The most recent season is just so intense. They give so much time to the other teams and developing their opponents' characters as well. But one thing about Hinata, he's never been good at receiving, and this week we finally got to see his practice come into play, and it's so good. Such a good episode. But so, I mean, if you're not going to watch anything else, I recommend you should watch this. It's just so heartwarming. I also got caught up on The Mandalorian. I was only a couple episodes behind, but this most recent episode, just saying, finally have a name. I'm not going to spoil it. Go watch it so you can figure it out. So we don't have to refer him as to, well, still going to be Baby Yoda in all our hearts, let's face it. Or the more technically named The Child. We could actually call him by his name now. And yeah. I'm excited.
I'm assuming it's not Yoda.
No. It's also not one you would expect. It's kind of a weird name compared to what I was expecting. I'm like, oh.
Joe.
It's like I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know
I
how.
would've died
I
if
don't
it
know
was
how their
Joe.
naming scheme works
Weird.
Amazing.
for this race.
My name is Steve.
Yeah. Whenever someone says something like that about like the name of a character, I immediately go to one of the most basic names I can think of. And it's usually either Joe, Bob, or Steve. Because it's just so funny.
Occasionally Frank.
Or Frank.
Frank. Chad.
Let's see. For me, this
Baby
past
Chad.
week was my birthday, so
Woo!
that was great.
Yay.
And then I meant to do some streaming, didn't quite work out. But Saturday, Chris and I did some Commander Legends booster pet box opening, and so that should be on our YouTube soon. And then, as part of that, I got a gift card to my LGS, my local game store. And so, oh yeah, and shout out to Chris for the Jeweled Lotus.
Although I want to
So-
watch someone else open some packs and they got like the full art foil. Yeah. Never watch someone else open packs after you open your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so my LGS went there for Small Business Saturday. And then they also, this is Madness in Plano, North Dallas. And they do a buy two, get one on the whole store for the holidays. And so it's like their Black Friday through the end of the year to help clear out inventory. They typically do like a rearrange and stuff like that after they've sold off a lot of stuff. So picked up a handful of board games, some Magic stuff. This is where I got the wall scroll behind me. And so out of that, played some Reef, which is a game that Deanna and I have been looking at for a long time, where you build a reef. And so it's a lot of fun. We played it twice so far, had very close games both times. And so we'll have more on the other game I purchased at a later time.
Who
And
won?
Then what?
Who won?
Deanna won both times.
Yeah. Get him, Deanna.
Woo!
And then, as Chris talked about, watched The Mandalorian. And so really excited about this episode. Not getting too spoily, but it's called The Jedi. So hype about Jedi related things. And then played some Bug Snacks, as Shanine said. And then, as Emma said, been playing some Assassin's Creed Valhalla as well. And so I'm about 25 hours in right now. And then, other than that, we just finished watching The Great British Bake Off, I think season 8. And so I didn't watch all of this season. I kind of caught bits and pieces, but watched like the last couple episodes, and then, like I said, bits and pieces of the previous one. Such a good show. Best reality show out there,
So
in
wholesome.
my opinion.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very wholesome.
We're talking, it's like the drama in that show is about them actually trying to bake things,
Mhm.
which I really appreciate. Like, it's not about this person doesn't like that person, or
Or
this
this
person's
person
not.
said that thing about
Yeah.
that person behind their back, or
Yeah.
it's just someone dropped their whatever on the floor,
Or
and now they're in tears.
or
Yep.
just the battle of the egos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Let's go ahead and jump into our news for this week. Since we're all here celebrating 150, we've all kind of brought specific pieces like we do when we're all here. And so, Emma, why don't you start us off?
Yeah. So, my exciting piece of news from this week is that Stargate SG-1 is coming back to Netflix in this month, tomorrow, I believe, actually. And I'm super excited because Stargate is one of my all-time favorite science fiction shows. It's second to Doctor Who. And so I'm just excited to like actually be able to watch it again, easily accessible. In an easily accessible way. So that's just really exciting because I love that show. And yeah, that's that for Netflix. And then
On that, I'm really surprised that SG1 hasn't been on Netflix since 2012.
I know it was when they took it off in 2012, it was on Amazon Prime for a while, and then Amazon took it off.
Yeah, Amazon for a while had like rights to like all the Star Trek or Stargates.
Yeah.
Because they were live streaming or simulcasting Universe.
Yeah.
Back when. Right? Do I
Yeah,
have
that
right?
sounds right.
Maybe. I don't know. It's so long ago. Can we also get another Stargate series? Just saying.
Yeah, please. Please.
I'm interested to go back and watch this because it's one that like I watched when I was like younger, and so I'm very interested to go back and see like how little I remember of it.
One of my favorite things about the Stargate series is it plays on like the myth and lore of our history.
Yeah. It
and
uses a lot of just
so
legends, basically.
Ancient
in a science-
technology, and
Yeah.
instead of it being a future technology we develop.
Oh,
I
you
like that
thought the
concept.
pyramids were these ancient burial grounds for their pharaohs? Guess what? They were also landing pads for these ships.
Well, that just plays off like the conspiracy theories regarding aliens.
Aliens. Except in this case, it really is aliens.
Well, also like the lore of like Stargate Atlantis is one of my favorites actually.
Yeah.
And that's such a good one. And also playing off like, well, the ancients or our ancestors were essentially developed these technologies and essentially disappeared at some point.
They also all just sort of cloned themselves casually.
Yeah.
On top of that, like
I mean, I'd clone myself casually if the technology was
no big deal.
It's like, I don't want to go to work. You're going to work
And
today.
look like your most like the typical idea of like an alien that lives on Mars, a Martian with a big head and the big eyes. That's basically the ancients, and I love it. So yeah. And then the other piece of news we got was we got a opening date for Super Nintendo World, which is February 1st, 2021. And we got a look at one of the Mario Kart rides, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And I think it looks like fun, but probably won't be going anytime soon.
Yeah. So it's like
2022.
VR, 2022.
Yeah.
It's like VR
With Studio
Mario
Ghibli.
Kart. So like, I like where this is at. Like,
Yeah.
So let's all plan to go 2022. We get to hit up Ghibli Park and then go to Super Mario Park, Super Mario World Park, and it's a theme park vacation in Japan.
Yay. I'm
But
ready.
you guys can go to the other park because I'm spending all my time at Ghibli.
It's fine. No judgment there.
How moving in, guys.
do we all
I
have
live here now.
a like Do you have a go-to Mario Kart character?
I mean, I don't play
Shy guy.
Mario Kart, so not really, no.
Yoshi.
Mine's Donkey Kong.
Go for those heavies.
I was also in Double Dash. I was a huge fan of Boo.
I'll play whoever.
Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of the Koopa Troop. Occasionally, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Just depends. I don't play like any of the humanoid characters.
No Princess Peach.
No Peach, no Mario, no Luigi. Nope, just
I'll
mostly.
go for a princess if someone steals Yoshi.
Janine, what do you have for us this week?
All right. In obviously totally normal geek news, there was a boxing exhibition this weekend. Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr., which ended in a draw. So it was very anticlimactic. Slightly more exciting, YouTuber Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson, an NBAer. I was not aware that Jake Paul was a professional boxer. I really thought this was just like a random YouTuber pulling a stunt. But it turns out, no, he is a professional boxer. And it ended in Jake Paul ending the fight in the second round with a TKO. And boy, was he out. Oh. Like, there's knocked out and they get back up very soon. And then there was him flattened on the mat.
Well, so there's knockdowns.
This was a straight up knockout.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I think it's always super interesting when you have YouTubers who my channel is about this, but here is this other hobby I'm super into, and I just don't make content about it.
Yeah. Until these 2 times a year when it suddenly becomes a big deal.
Okay, my husband in chat is saying it was a KO, not a TKO. And I would just like to point out that the article I was looking at said TKO, so it's not my fault.
So technical knockout is by count. Right?
Okay.
I
don't know.
I don't know. There's a period where I watched a lot of boxing because Manny Pacquiao was obviously.
Yeah. There's 2 things I don't do: wrestling and the Paul brothers. that's just it. Those are 2
boxing.
things I don't, or boxing or whatever it is. Okay, I don't do wrestling, I don't do boxing, and I just don't even bother with the Paul brothers. So that's that.
Fair. Moving on from the Pauls, but staying in the boxing realm, what YouTubers, Twitchers / celebs in general would you like to see go head to head?
I'm so ready for this. So I have 2 sets.
Okay.
I have 2 sets. So first one, Rosanna Pansino versus Jenna Marbles.
Yes.
Because they're both hilarious YouTubers, and I kind of want to see Rosanna try to shank somebody. Because she just seems like that person that's super sweet, and then you put her in a corner and she shanks you.
Yeah, I can see it.
This conversation just reminds me of Celebrity Deathmatch from MTV.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
Then speaking of Celebrity Deathmatch, my next one is Neil deGrasse Tyson versus Bill Nye.
Okay.
They're not in the same weight class. Come on.
This did not have to be a fair fight.
No.
These
That
are
was not in the rules.
dream
Poor Bill
celeb
Nye.
matches.
Poor Bill Nye.
A little bit.
Deanna says that Rosanna is the tiniest warrior.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know.
I have no idea on this one. Like, most of the time, if I'm thinking about this, I want to put someone I don't like against someone I do.
Yeah.
That I know is going to kick the person I don't like's butt.
Yeah. I mean, the only person I can think of that would be remotely in this world would be Dwayne Johnson, which that's literally how his career started.
Well, wrestling.
It's close
Also,
enough.
he makes an appearance
Close
in
enough.
Star Trek Voyager, just saying. I'm like watching this episode, I'm like, is that The Rock?
Is he seriously in there?
He's in an episode of Star Trek Voyager.
There you
That's
go.
amazing.
It was a best episode. I was like, what? Yes.
I watched The Mummy Returns a couple nights ago, and he has hair in that one, and I was just so confused the entire time. And I was just like, this is so weird. He also is a giant scorpion, so that's it. Anyway.
We got a couple in chat. We got from Chunk the Hut, Mr. Beast versus Greg Miller. And then Deanna says Captain Sparkles versus PewDiePie.
I'd watch that one.
Oh, I got nothing.
Chris has no celebrities he'd like to see punch each other in the face.
Not really. Well, just in general for boxing.
Most of the people I follow are too polite to punch other people in the face.
That's why you got to put
Right.
them in the
Like
ring.
the people I'm thinking is like, if I put them in the ring, I'm just going to see them in a whole different light. And that's going to change my entire perception of them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
If you have celebrities you'd like to see or like to say you would like to see fighting each other, put them in the comments. Let us know what you think. Chris, what do you got for us this week?
So this week, Square came out and announced another remaster of a classic 98 JRPG called Saga Frontier. I remember playing this game. What franchise do you think this is attached to in Japan, though?
Oh, I should not Google then. I have literally no clue.
Because, yeah, the Japanese release is tied to a certain, but it's its own franchise in the US or in the West. So this game is originally the Final Fantasy Legends series.
Oh, I saw this.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's going to be remastered with some updated graphics, events and cutscenes, and other enhancements, as well as a new protagonist. So adding additional characters and, as a result, more story. It is the full collection of the 3 games from the saga, which I'm super excited for. And it's coming to every platform. And I mean every platform.
Like literally everyone that
Samsung
ever
Fridge
existed.
or I don't play it.
I mean, Samsung Fridge runs on Android, so you probably could play it on your
Yes.
Samsung Fridge.
The best place to play Skyrim also.
Yeah, so it's coming PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, Steam, iOS, and Android. I'm like,
Mandroid? Or I heard Mandroid for a minute, and I was just like,
Android.
I'm sorry, what is that?
It's an emulated software console.
Yeah.
If you don't own one, you're not a real gamer.
Great, good to know. I've never been a real gamer. I just sort of fake it until I make it and die many times.
We should say the original release in Japan was from 97, just because that's how things work. But yeah, I remember playing this game on PlayStation, original PlayStation. I'm excited to see what they do with the graphics. But I also wish they'd put more energy into doing like a new Final Fantasy Tactics. Just saying. Need more tactics in my life.
Bet. I was actually talking to some people on Discord about how we, because somebody, was it Love Thy Nerd? Maybe somebody else posted an article about how, about the Tactics franchise. And I was like, yes.
We need more. I just need more of those strategy games. Granted, we always have Fire Emblem consistently, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I just need more like alternative Final Fantasy games. But yeah, that's all I really have.
So for me, I got some news that I didn't know existed, and like I didn't know this was a thing because I guess I missed it when it happened. But after 20 years, the Pokemon Company can finally print Kadabra Pokemon cards again.
Why was it unable to?
So I'm glad you asked, Emma. So apparently, illusionist and magician Uri Geller filed a lawsuit in 2000 against Nintendo and asked them to no longer print Kadabra Pokemon cards due to the similarity between the Kadabra spoon technique and the Japanese name to himself, like between the Pokemon and himself. And so in Japan, Kadabra is written with certain variations, one of which is Young Geller, which is very close to his name. So, so apparently, because of that, he filed a lawsuit to ask them to not print cards. And while I have not read the lawsuit by any means, because I have, like literally anything else to do with my life.
Yeah.
I saw a quote that was apparently at the time when they filed in 2000, they were filing because there was no way this could be a coincidence. And it was the only Pokemon that shared a name with a real person. Unlike Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee, whose names, it's like a blatant reference on like intentional reference.
Yeah.
And they never sued to not get the Pokemon cards printed. But after 20 years, Geller has...
We should say that the Japanese name is the source material. Whereas then when we brought things over to English, they just blatantly ripped off those names for Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee.
Right, but in a lot of language, the reference is there to a regional fighter,
right,
or a person who's not like a person who is famous in that culture for fighting.
Yeah,
and so, and so after 20 years, Geller has wrote on Twitter, "I'm truly sorry for what I did 20 years ago. Kids and grown-ups, I am releasing the ban. Is now up to #Nintendo to bring Kadabra Pokemon cards back. It will probably be one of the rarest cards now. Much energy and love to all." Speaking to the gamer, Geller expanded on his decision, saying, "Due to the tremendous volume of emails I'm still getting begging me to allow Nintendo to bring back Kadabra, I sent a letter to the chairman of Nintendo giving them permission to relaunch the I'm not going to use his name here, but relaunch Kadabra worldwide."
This also feels like one of those things where if I was him, I'd be like, yeah, I got a Pokemon named after me.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I would just even if it wasn't the case, I would straight up own that.
I would just change my name.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
I would literally change my name to match the Pokemon.
Yeah.
So with that, if you could have a Pokemon named after you, whether a specific one that exists or just like a general type or something like that, what would you want the Pokemon to be?
I'd want a fire psychic type named Emanator.
I like it.
It's good.
I'll say for me, I'm a huge fan of steel types. That's probably one of my favorite sets. And so something like Metagross, or, my all-time favorite Tyranitar, which is of course not a steel type, but is best poke.
I want a flying type.
Oh yeah.
What'd y'all say?
I said I would like a flying type.
Yeah.
And some other second typing, but I want to fly.
I believe.
I don't know. I like fire types. Probably a fox or an owl of some kind.
I like it.
Rowlet
Things
is
that
one of my
hoot and
favorite Pokemons.
Yeah.
Rowlet's the best. Just saying.
It is a really good starter.
A wonderful starter. And then it's final evolution. Oh yeah, like Grass Ghost. Oh yeah. Love that typing for Rowlet's final evolution. Just saying.
Solid combination, not gonna lie.
That's what we got for our news for this week. Listeners, if you have a Pokemon you wish was named after you, please let us know, or hit us up with those celebrity boxing matches in the comment section. And that gets us into our top 3 bards. And as always, friendly reminder, there are no rules. And so over on our Twitter, I managed to pull it up ahead of time. I remembered. We have Bard from Inroads Ministries. And then I said by Inroads, just for the record. Give them that self promo there. And then Andrew Whiteside says, since the band refers to their followers as Bards, I'm going to go ahead and say the band Blind Guardian, which I have not heard of, but. And then Jolly Old Saint Nicole says, the only bard that matters, Shakespeare.
But false, but great bard.
And then if you're in chat and you want to hit us up with your top 3 bards, let us know, and we'll talk about them after we go through ours. So, Emma, what do you got?
I'm going to say this one probably for everyone. Yaskier from The Witcher, which is very much a given.
Toss a coin to your Witcher.
A very wonderful bard.
Yes, taking that off my list.
Yep. I mean, I knew it was going to be a given. That was going to be very much picked by everyone, but.
Well, that's why I didn't pick it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, everyone else is going to pick it.
He's just so great.
I ain't dealing with adjusting my list for people.
Complete definition of a bard in every sense. So that's my first one.
Shanine, what's your first one?
Okay. My first one is perhaps a little unusual, but it counts. I'm going to say the 12th Doctor.
The other ones.
Got her.
Dang it. Now I have to think of another one.
I knew I had to.
You're not taking this here.
I knew I had to put that one out first. I'm like, I was going to take this
one. You're right.
But just very performative, very get out of this situation with my words. And he comes rolling in on a tank with an electric guitar. That's all.
Life goals.
Life goals, yeah.
Yes.
Chris, what do you got?
My first one is kind of a twofer, but specifically, so it's Chaucer, Geoffrey Chaucer, author of the Canterbury Tales, but more specifically, also the portrayal of a bard in A Knight's Tale, which is by far one of my favorite characters, because he's just full of sass. And there's several parts of that movie as a result of him that took place, though. Have you guys seen A Knight's Tale?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he gives that big speech about Uldrich von Liechtenstein, for his initial thing, and no one cheers until what's the character's name in the background goes, oh, and then everyone joins in
because no one understood him.
Yeah, that was actually that happened.
Yeah,
and
they
it's
missed
because
the cue.
They didn't know, because they used extras from the area they were recording in, which is Romania. And so they didn't actually understand, and they missed the cue. So then he did that, and they left it in. And it's one of my favorite stories from that movie, because it's one of And it just fit in so well with the general flow of that movie, and so good. Never mind all the love tips and the letters he wrote in that movie too.
So Deanna, of course, helped me with my list. And so one of hers that she called out that I was like, yes, was the rooster from the animated Robin Hood, who does the intro and like outro to the movie is the rooster singing and playing. And so I'm pretty sure I've talked about it before on the podcast, but animated Robin Hood is one of my favorite like classic Disney movies.
So now both of my two other choices have been stolen.
Wow.
Because the rooster from Disney Robin Hood was my other whatever.
I'm tempted to throw one in from the ones I took off my list initially, because I think everyone is just to see if I could screw them over.
You gotta play the people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So animated Robin Hood is one of my favorite classic Disney movies. It's probably my favorite, like, I want to say non-serious Robin Hood. I mean, of course, Robin Hood Men in Tights is, like peak movie. But so I really like animated Robin Hood, and shout out for Deanna for remembering the rooster.
Now that I'm having to do catch up, I'm just found one that is Tom from the Wheel of Time, who is a bard and a wonderful fatherly figure to some of the other characters. So there's one of two catch-up items. Yeah. He's just a great character. So there's that.
All right. Since Cameron stole Alan-a-Dale, I will have to say Sir Robin's Minstrels in Monty Python.
Yes.
That was another one of Deanna's that she called out.
I was hoping someone would say it. It's like
Nice,
it's a nice subcategory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just delightful.
Mm-hmm. And I love their commentary.
Yeah.
Yes.
For my next one is because based on where we're going, I'm going to take this one and throw it out there. Scanlan Shorthalt from Critical Role, from the Vox Machina campaign. Because I don't know,
Because he's a bard.
He's a bard and he nails it. And yeah, Sam Riegel just does such a good job of just bringing in the most ridiculous covers for his character. And yeah, so Scanlan Shorthalt.
My next one is the Star Wars shout out, and that's the Cantina Band.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, they're amazing. I don't know what else to say.
Are they really bardish though?
They play instruments, it counts.
But they don't tell a story.
Well, you don't have to tell a story to be a bard.
That's traditionally what they are.
You don't have to use words to tell a story.
Yeah.
I mean, true, but I don't know what story they're telling with that Cantina Band song.
Who has not been
Exciting
stirred?
Cantina.
Exciting Cantina. Look what's
With a
going on.
mysterious man in the corner.
Yeah. Who has not been stirred to greatness by the great Cantina Band?
I certainly have.
And as always, I would like to remind everyone that the first rule of top threes is that there is no rules.
I mean,
Exactly.
true, but I would argue with that their classification.
My last one is the Bird Bard from Breath of the Wild. The His name is Cass, and it's the bird that just goes around playing an accordion, and you just sort of stumble upon him at random times. And he's fun to talk to.
Always down with a Breath of the Wild reference.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I was really hoping no one would take my last one, and they didn't. Number 1, Bards. Jeffster from Chuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Never seen it, truth be told.
Oh, Emma. Put it on your list. Okay.
My list is this long, and I have like this much time.
Move it to the top.
Or
I
hike.
have-
If only for Jeffster. Do it for Jeffster. Jeffster, the band made up of Jeff and Lester. Every time I hear Africa and Take on Me, I think of Jeffster. Their music saves the world.
Or at least to buy more.
Counts.
It counts. It's part of the world, and that was saved.
Several times by Jeff Sturr specifically. No, I'm just- I love their characters so much. Oh, that show. Definitely worth a watch, Emma. Just
Dexter?
well, the show is Chuck,
Oh, Chuck. Okay.
but
This-
Jeffster is a two-person
know.
band from it.
I counted that much.
So good.
Okay.
My third and final is Kubo from Kubo and the Two Strings. A vastly underrated and got robbed during the 2007 or 16.
I'll Google.
I don't know. Yeah, Kubo and Two Strings go Kubo. Wanders the world with his what's the instrument called?
And it is 2016.
2016. But yeah, it's if you haven't seen Kubo and the Two Strings, highly recommend it.
It's a
So
good
good.
movie.
Stop motion, beautiful stop motion movie, and got gypped by Cameron's favorite animated movie.
Was that really 2016?
Yeah. So long ago.
For me, oh man, this is where things got tight. So on one hand, we're doing shout outs. Podrick, the best part of the last season of Game of Thrones is when he sings. But not really a bard. So then on the other hand, my real answer, the Muses from Hercules.
Yes.
And so, and this is at least the second top 3 that I've done that they've shown up in. So I love them. I love that. I love the idea of taking the Greek chorus that's part of like traditional like Greek storytelling and having it be these musical interludes that explain the plot, get you caught up, and then just kind of having them as recurring characters throughout the movie. I love the Muses.
Solid choice. Solid choice.
Our next top 3 is going to be the top 3 books to read at Christmas. Because, Shanine, why are we doing that?
I'm so excited for next week. We're having 2 very special guests on with us, Rachel Welcher and author of Advent, A Thread in the Night, which you can check out at our recent book club, Evan Welcher.
I'm really excited. Especially since we liked Advent, A Thread in the Night. I'm not going to
Yeah, it
lie.
would've
Like,
been
had
awkward
we
if you
not,
didn't.
it would have been really awkward. But
But no, they're both incredibly talented authors and such lovely people. I'm so excited to chat with them.
I'm ready to interrogate them.
And then in chat, we
Alright.
got a shout out for the Bard from the Black Cauldron from Deanna.
Mm.
Yeah. So everybody come back next week. I'm excited to meet them. Have been interacting with them on Twitter and stuff. And that really concludes episode 150, an episode of Arbitrary and Numerical Significance. We're really glad that everyone could be here today. We're going to be continuing with our post-show chat here in a bit, but before we get into that, as always, you can find us on our social media, which is OneGeek411 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Then you can also join our Discord server if you want to chat with us between podcasts. You can shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. And then you rate or watch live right here on Twitch, 6:45 Mountain Time, or right here on YouTube at a later time. And then you can rate and subscribe wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. And then check out our show notes on our website, onegeek411.com, where you can find our sister podcast, Faith, Trust, and Pixie Dust. Then, if you want to reach out to us individually, you can do that through our personal social medias. I'm Hugh Marwito.
I am not prepared with an I.
I'm Hoot and Howl Tales, TALES on Instagram, and the Hoot and Howl on Twitter.
And I'm Not So Foreign.
And before we do our formal outro, also shout out to Chunk the Hut for gifting subs in chat. I meant to do that before we did our social media, but I forgot to put a thing in the notes. So Chunk the Hut, shout out to you. So with that, it's been a great week.
Wash your hands.
Go read a book.